Our journey is not complete until all our children, from the streets of Detroit to the hills of Appalachia to the quiet lanes of Newtown, know that they are cared for and cherished and always safe from harm.
Safe from harm, and that means safe from guns. President Obama is asking Congress to approve his sweeping gun control plan. But can it pass? Let's go back to Jake Tapper, who's got an update for this. Jake, I understand the president will be meeting with some congressional members this week. Tell me about that.
That's right. He'll be reaching out to members of Congress, and this is a big part of this campaign for gun violence because he has a narrow margin of support among the public for his proposals. In a Gallup poll from January 17th, asked, would you tell your congressman to vote for President Obama's proposals to reduce gun violence? Yes, 53%, no, 41%. But here's what's really interesting about these polling numbers, Piers, and this is why President Obama is going to take his show on the road and have more of that campaigning that he did in 2012. Support for gun measures, for gun control measures, has declined precipitously since the shooting. In December, for instance, 78% support for gun registration. It's now 69%. Those numbers are going down, as we typically see after a horrific event like this. There is a big spike in public support for tougher gun control measures, and then that goes down. President Obama going to try to stop that and turn it around.
Okay, let's bring in some people who have views on this from very different perspectives. Susanna Hupp, she was somebody who was a victim at Luby's cafeteria in Texas in 1991. It was the worst shooting before Virginia Tech that America had seen. Yeah. She had a handgun. It was in her car at the time. Welcome to you, Susanna. What is your view of where the gun control debate is? As Jake Tapper just said, there does tend to be this huge spike in the polls that people in America say we've got to do something, and then over a few weeks it calms down, people go back to normal, and so it goes on. What do you think?
Well, I think there's a normal reaction, especially among us parents. You know, you want to do something that will prevent something like this from happening in the future. I just take a very different view of it. I look at it and wonder, how can anybody not see that these things only happen where guns aren't allowed? That seems so crystal clear to me, that we've created these killing zones that we call gun-free zones. And it makes me very uncomfortable to have my children in them.
Did you know how many of the last 60 mass shootings have been in gun-free zones?
If I had to sit and count, I can tell you almost all of them.
It's not the case. And today you saw a shooting where you got kids with handguns, students in a school, you got armed police everywhere, plenty of guns in that school.
Now, do we know that you said kids? Because my understanding is they weren't children.
Well, students.
Is that? I mean, I just want to make it clear, because I hear a lot about kids killing kids, and when I actually sit and look at the statistical evidence, they're including 21-year-olds, and it's usually gang-related violence. It's one gang member killing another over drug-related incidents.
But tell me this, I mean, do you go along then with this idea that you should arm almost everybody, at schools, at movie theaters, at churches? I mean, but where do you draw the line?
No. No, all I'm saying is anybody who is, basically anybody who can vote. So we're talking about people who are of age, who have no felony convictions, who have never been adjudicated mentally incompetent, can carry a gun if they choose. And the fact is, when you look at it statistically, only about 2% of the population choose to do that. I just...
Well, let me give you a statistic there. Here's where I just find it really hard to understand the statistical evidence. America has over 300 million guns in circulation, and you have between 11 and 12,000 gun homicides a year. 18,000 Americans kill themselves with guns a year. 100,000 Americans are hit by gunfire a year. This far exceeds any of the other countries of any comparative wealth.
Because we do have more guns.
But why would your answer to bringing down that statistic, which presumably we all want to do, why would the answer then be more guns? But hang on.
Let me answer
hang on. If, as you rightly said...
But you started with one question, let me answer
Let me just finish my point there.
You're talking about, you're saying that a lot of people kill themselves with guns.
Let me finish my point, please. My point is this.
It's your show.
If you concede that the reason for that is, as you said, you have more guns, why would the way to bring down those numbers be to have even more guns?
You are not going to bring down suicide numbers by having less guns.
That's a complete lie. I'm sorry, you can't say things like that. In countries like Australia, where they brought in strict gun control, the suicide rate involving guns plummeted.
Well, suicide rate involving guns, yes, but not suicides. So you're making this. Here's an example for you.
But again, I say to you, Susanna,
okay,
that is actually also wrong.
You brought me on the show. Let me make a point. Let me make an example.
Finish what you want to say.
There was a great article. It was a very short article. Shortly after my parents were killed, there was an article in the paper. It was in December, and it was a very short article about a brother killing his own brother with a Christmas tree stand. He had beaten his brother to death with a Christmas tree stand. Crimes of passion have happened since Caesar's day, right? But you know what? If there had been a gun sitting next to the Christmas tree stand, he would have picked up that gun and used it, and it would be in your statistics now. Now, the brother is no less dead, but the gun is granted a more efficient tool. It's something that puts me on equal footing with gang members. It's something that puts your granny in a wheelchair on equal footing with the thugs trying to steal her Social Security check.
Okay, well, look, there's a lot of people in this room that find what you're saying.
I can't hear him.
Well, a lot of people are a lot of people are laughing and probably wish you could hear them. But let's move on. Let's move to Paul Gavassos. And to Heidi Uristigu.
Look.
No, if I may move on. No, Susanna, if I may move on. Paul, you pulled out a shotgun. It's a fascinating story, this. It happened recently. You pulled out a shotgun to defend your girlfriend. It was actually a burglar attempting to steal a television set from one of your neighbour's homes. And we watched the videos, a famous bit of video now, where you went out, you took your gun, and you got this guy apprehended without actually shooting anybody. And you used the threat, I guess, of that weapon. It was a shotgun, I think?
Yes, sir.
To me, when I saw that, people sent me tweets saying, well, there's the evidence, that's why you've got to be armed. I've never had any problem with what you did. I've never had any problem with an American's right to bear arms in their home with a shotgun or a pistol or a handgun to defend themselves. I get that. That's the Second Amendment. Do you believe you need any more? Do you need to have an assault weapon, an AR-15 military-style rifle, or do you believe that you were armed enough to do what you did, to defend yourself and your property and your family?
Yes, in this particular case, yes. I mean, we live in a very small area. We have lots of units connected to us. I don't need a .223 rifle that could maybe miss somebody and go 4 houses down. In this particular case, this is exactly what I bought it for. It's home defense. My girlfriend's been terrorized by this particular gentleman for the last month, and this time I was home. She let me know, and thankfully he chose the right choice for him and for my conscience as well.
When you hear about the debate, and you hear the lady I just interviewed making the kind of remarks that cause a room to erupt with sort of appalled laughter, let's not beat about the bush here. There's clearly a clash of cultures, even within the American culture, about this. How do we get through it?
You know, I mean, that's a tough question. You know, I know in my home state where I live now is in Texas. It's Texas and guns. It's guns are interwoven with their history. And one of the first things I did when I moved to San Antonio is I went to the Alamo, and gave me chills when I walked in there and saw all the different flags that were represented, and saw of course, the famous "Come and Get It," and I guess it's one of those things that Texas has a lot of pride, and I can understand why they have it. Guns are a part of it, and Heidi and I are both very, very proud to be living in Texas, but it's not something that we like to show everybody. It's only in a very specific thing.
No, I totally respect that. Let's take a break. Let's come back and ask my panel about the big gun debate. I'm sure you've all got differing views on this, but it is, to me, one of the most important debates in America right now.